The 18 Strong Podcast, episode number 130 with Chris Finn from Par for Success.
But if you really only have time, 15 minutes a day, you can make a huge improvement in your distance, how you feel. I mean, so many things. Just improve the rotation in those four areas.
Welcome to the 18 Strong Podcast, where you get direct access to the world's greatest experts on training harder, practicing smarter, and playing better golf. Now, here's your host, Jeff Pellizzero.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Jeff Pellizzero. Welcome to the 18 Strong Podcast, where this week I'm talking with Chris Finn from Par for Success. Chris has a very successful golf fitness business on the East Coast in Raleigh, North Carolina, where he works with elite level athletes, junior golfers, and really golfers of all ages and abilities. So in this episode, we're talking with Chris about, the training of these different athletes and how do you figure out the programs and design programs for all of these different people. And we first started talking about, junior golf, and something that I think is overlooked that many of us don't see because we're not necessarily in the world of the junior golf, but that's the amount of golf that these juniors are playing. And we discussed the epidemic going on and how, professional golfers are playing so much golf these days. There are so many tournaments year-round, basically, but I think it's often overlooked that the junior golfers are kind of expected to do the same kind of thing. And so now that we're seeing all these injuries occurring with a lot of the golfers on tour, and there's so many questions about fitness and those type of things, one thing that is not necessarily talked about very much is just the schedule of these younger golfers. So we talk about that in a little bit of depth, and then just discussing the programming for them, but also the collegiate and elite level athletes, and golfers, but especially because I know that so many of you listening are not professional golfers, you're not collegiate golfers, you are guys or girls with full-time jobs, kids, families, and so we discuss a lot on what are the important things that you should be focused on in your own golf fitness program. What are the basic things that you need to really pay attention to, and maybe what are the things that you don't necessarily need to worry about so much, and how do you squeeze all of that into your routine and what you do on a weekly basis. And if you'd be interested in getting a program designed specifically for you from the guys at Par for Success, stick around to the end of the episode where I'm going to tell you exactly how you can get in touch with Chris about getting a personal program designed just like they do for their tour players, all their collegiate level players, or even their junior level players. And you can do that remotely from anywhere in the world. Chris himself is a guy, he's got a family, he's running a business, so he knows all of that. But also behind that, Chris has an amazing story about a medical-related issue that he just kind of went through that we discussed at the beginning of the show to really give you an idea of what he's been through and how he's come out very successful on the other end of it, but how it's also kind of changed his outlook on what he's doing with his golfers and just with his life in general. So very inspiring story, and I wanted to definitely get Chris on here to share that with you guys. But before we get into the interview with Chris, got to thank the guys over at Super Speed Golf. As you know, Super Speed has been a big sponsor and supporter of the 18 Strong Podcast and the website, and we're just so appreciative of everything that they've done for us. But if you don't know what the Super Speed golf clubs are, the Super Speed system, it's an overspeed training device that literally, I think, almost everyone in the world is using now. I just had a new junior golfer come in, and he's getting ready to go to a very prominent college, one of the top 10 schools for sure for golf. And he saw the Super Speed clubs, and he's like, oh, man, I've been wanting to try these. Everybody that I know talks about these, and I've heard so much about them. I haven't used them yet, so he was able to check them out and use them. These things are all over the place. The professionals are using them, working on their speed. It's an overspeed training device, slightly different weighted clubs that don't actually have a club head on them. It's got just a little weight, a cylindrical weight at the end. But what it's designed to do is basically teach your body how to move faster. And I can honestly say that from my own personal experience working with clients, working with them myself, it's the number one thing that I've used that has dramatically improved speed, unlike anything else that I've used. So if you want to get your hands on your Super Speed golf clubs, go to superspeedgolf.com, and you can use the code 18strong to get your discount on the clubs. You can also go to 18strong.com/Super Super Speed, and you're going to find not only some information on the clubs, but you're going to find some videos that I shot with the guys from Super Speed when I had a chance to go up to Chicago and visit them. So just want to say thank you to those guys. And now let's go ahead and get into the interview with Chris Finn from Par for Success. Chris, welcome to the 18 Strong podcast. It's great to finally get you on here, bud.
Thanks a lot, Jeff. It's an honor to be here, man. I've heard so many great guests. It's quite humbling, honestly. And the fact that this is the first one in your new studio, I mean, I don't know if it could get any better than that.
Yeah, I might have to take a couple pictures of the studio, show people what it actually looks like. But hopefully it sounds pretty good. We'll work on some of the audio stuff. But it's pretty cool being in the new spot. If you guys haven't seen, I've relocated into a new space, new gym facility, and we built a little office / studio so we can hang out and do some podcasts. So this is pretty cool. First one.
I gotta say, I'm jealous, man. Looking at your facility, looking back to when we opened ours, it's like, I wish I did that. And it really looks awesome the way you guys have done it.
Well, see, that's hindsight is 2020 because I've been looking at pictures of yours and pictures of other people's, and Dr. Jim Alberry's and all these different guys that have these amazing places. And again, that's kind of something that we want to do in the future is go do a little traveling and highlight some of these different places and show people the inside of all these amazing studios that are around where guys and girls are working with their golfers. So hopefully look out for that to come in the near future as well. But I want to talk about, we're going to talk about a lot about your business, your story. Par for Success is your business, and I'm very inspired by what you're doing there and how you're working with your golfers. But let's give the 18 Strong listeners a little background on you. I know you've got an amazing story that I think people are really going to resonate with and be inspired by. So if you could, give us a little background on, where you came from growing up and what brought you to doing what you're doing today.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. It doesn't seem very exceptional to me, but it's been cool to, as I've been telling my story to people and sharing it, it's one of the cool things, I think, as I've gotten older, and I think all of us can really relate to, the more that you share with people your experiences, the more people share with you theirs, and it's been pretty cool. So, I'm a physical therapist by training. I grew up in the Northeast, up in Connecticut, and golf season isn't too long up there. I actually was a basketball player through college, and I got into the game. One of my roommates was playing, and it was in my grad year at PT school, needed something competitive to do, and he whipped my butt the first couple times we went out, and so the competitive side in me kind of came out, and I guess the rest is history, as they say. So I moved down into some warmer climates down in North Carolina here in the Raleigh area, and needless to say, there's lots of good golf courses. So I've really, I started working at a local university hospital. Got into TPI certifications. Really was able to blend the golf, and my love for golf with my love for helping people and in terms of performance and getting out of pain and getting back to doing what they love. And then really jumped into starting my own business, as I learned very quickly I was not a good employee. Got written up for insubordination for referring a client to referring them out to somewhere I thought they'd get better service. And
you can't do that.
Yeah, apparently that's frowned upon. So God forbid we get people better, right? At the cost of $1. So yeah. I learned pretty quickly I wanted to do things my own way, and when they handed me my write-up for helping someone, I decided time to move on. So really over the course of the last probably 3 to 5 years, I cut down all my hours really in my in-network kind of outpatient locations, and then really started Par for Success. I was joking with some people, some other professionals were doing some online coaching, and I showed a picture of I forget what movie it's from, but these guys in a locker room, and he's got his leg up on the stool and the towel's wide open. I actually had that experience as one of the first places I worked. I was brought a massage table into the country club, and it was a super high-end club in the area. And they let me use it in the wintertime. And I'm just finishing up with a client, and I'm sitting there writing my note, and this old guy walks up, just puts his leg right next to me, like still dripping out of the shower, and so tell me what you do. What are your services? So if that wasn't a test to know your lines and know what you're about, man, I learned quickly, okay, well, I definitely don't want to be in network, and definitely don't want to be working in men's locker rooms.
Yeah, that's a visual that I don't think any of us needed right now.
So really from there, just a lot of luck, and opportunity that kind of fell my way, thankfully. And I opened up a 20 by 20 little shed on a private course, or a public course first, and was there for about a year. I was able to grow big enough, and fast forward 2 years, and we got a beautiful facility in Raleigh. So it's been quite the ride. Shout out to my wife here, because if it wasn't for her, none of this would have happened. But it's been really awesome. So
yeah, I know you and I, we've talked several times just about the business stuff and just kind of telling stories. And you told me about working out of a shed. Some of the things that we've all done. We were joking about the podcast studio, and if you saw it from where I am, I've got my computer up on a crate right now. I've got my microphone, just kind of standing, balanced on a couple of things. But you do what you got to do until you get to the place that you want to be, and that's what I think is so cool. And now you're helping so many other medical and fitness professionals, which we'll talk about a little bit later, about the Facebook group that you started and the things you're doing there. But you also have a little bit of a medical history yourself. Health history. Would you mind sharing a little bit about what you've been through as of recently, and how that's affected kind of your mental outlook on everything that you're doing these days?
Yeah, it's actually, it's kind of fitting. Today's 7-month anniversary. 7 months ago, I was laying on a table with my chest cut open. So I have a congenital heart defect that basically led to an aneurysm in my aorta, just to keep it short. Basically, they were monitoring it, and got to the point where it was pretty much about to pop. So basically had about 30 days to, I went up, they met with the doctor, and he said pretty much if I kept living the way I was, which was healthy, working out, lifting weight, he said basically your chance of rupture is about 10 times more than if you just sat on the couch and ate potato chips. So wow. as a health professional, that was kind of like a punch in the gut. I was like, wait a minute, I thought I was doing everything right. So it was, I was 30 at the time. I had a 3-year, or I said at the point he was just about to turn 3 and not even 1-year-old. So basically I was told I had to have open heart surgery, and they ended up replacing, it was 8 inches of my aorta. So, that was fun. so I got about a nice, maybe 24-inch, gash down my chest now. And really the challenging part was we had just moved into our new facility probably 6-7 months prior to that. And at that point I was probably 60% of the revenue that was coming in terms of my services. So,
right.
That really kind of, challenged me personally, from a business standpoint. How do you keep a business going when 60% of your revenue is going out for 3 months? But on a personal level, it was, just as a father, and as I'm sure a lot of people listening are dads, or they know their father, and you can think of the times coming home, and your kid would run up and give you a hug or hold you, hey Dad, get on the ground, let's rough house. After open heart surgery, you can't lift more than 10 pounds for a month, can't lift more than 30 pounds for 3 months, and my son at the time was 35 pounds. My daughter's not small, so she was, even though she was young, she was over 20. So you just imagine, coming home and you can't hold your kids, just because it hurts and that sort of stuff. So it really forced me to put a perspective in terms of really dig deep. And I know you and I are both in, similar masterminds and dad groups, and really kind of looking at myself as an individual, not just as a business owner, as a PT, but really forced me to kind of look deep into what my core values were and why I get out of bed. At 30 years old, I basically said goodbye to my wife and my kids, and was like, hopefully I wake up from this. So,
holy cow, man, I can't even imagine the emotions that you guys went through, both, you, your wife, and then even the people you were working with, and coming back. And was it a struggle to then come back and build up to the point that you are now? Because I know you guys, you're, as we watch what you're doing with Par for Success, it looks like you guys are doing an amazing job bringing in so many junior golfers and just working with so many golfers in general. How hard was it to build up back to where you are now?
Well, I have to say it was quite a humbling experience and it kind of spoke to me how important when you're we're talking building a business, but also when you're training somebody, that doing business with those who share a similar reason why you're there. the last probably 6 months or so, I've really, figured out what drives me and what are my values. And it's really boiled down for me that, and I didn't know it before, but really the reason why I was written up for insubordination, the reason why, I really have this entrepreneurial spirit and want to do things my way is I believe in living better every day. I believe in being better every day. I believe, in challenging the status quo when better's in the way. And, and I had, not knowingly, I try to do it consciously at this point, but, in hiring staff and bringing on the team that was working with me, really we all shared the same reason why we were there, that we really wanted to be better. And even though I was out for 3 months, the business actually did okay, which is, every business owner's dream. There was definitely a hit in terms of the PT sessions that were there, but basically what that ended up leading to, I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. I had a PT that I had worked with prior. She came and helped out a little bit. And now, I've got 2 other PTs that are working for me now, and she's one of them. So it was kind of baptism under fire, and, let's see how it goes. And, thank God every day, man, that you can hug my kid, new appreciation for little things like hugging your kids. And, I actually got to go out and play golf for the first time last weekend with a bunch of our members. We went out and did a little fitness challenge, and part of it, we go out and play golf 3 times. And I was sore playing. It wasn't pretty where the ball went. I had a few more OBs than I'll admit on this, but, it was just, not once did I get frustrated about where the ball went. It was like, wow, this is awesome. It's sunny out. It's the feeling that you just hope every one of your clients and every golfer listening to this has, and just can appreciate how beautiful a golf course is, and just what an opportunity it is to be out there playing. So,
yeah, I would imagine it gives you such a different appreciation for just the daily things, but especially, being out on the golf course, which is what we both love. Everybody listening to this podcast loves. And, it's hard to get frustrated when you've been, when you're out in a setting like that and you realize you really have that appreciation. And it's funny how things just kind of work out after, something goes wrong, or we have our biggest challenges like this. You mentioned things just kind of fell into place, and things happen for a reason. You guys, go ahead.
I was saying, and the cool thing for me was the passion that it really helped me to find in terms of really working with other professionals. And, I so enjoyed creating our own little ecosystem at Par for Success that, I was able to speak down at the World Golf Fitness Summit, and getting to meet all those people that are in the same spot that I was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, or that have businesses that want to practice the way that they want to practice. They're sick of insurance telling them the way that they can do things. It was like I shared my story, and I got like 100 times back of, I was jazzed. I was ready to go, man. When I came back after that in October, and that's been an inspiration for the Facebook group. And it's been really a cool ride, as much as you wouldn't wish, open heart surgery at 30 on anybody. It was really cool to change my thinking to, why me to, well, why the heck not me? Let's do something with this. Anybody out there who's got cardiac issues or anything like that, like it's not, for me, it's been looking at it not as a curse or oh man, this sucks. It's like, wow, I have an opportunity here. I've faced adversity and stuff that people don't necessarily always get to face. And if we can turn that into a positive, like, holy crap. I hit it in the bunker a couple. This kind of sounds silly, but I hit in the bunker when we were playing on Saturday, and I was like, hey, why not? There's an opportunity to hit a great shot, and it was something before I would have been cussing and give me another beer, right. I got to loosen up. But, really at this point, it was like, well, why not? There's an opportunity to make, to hit a great shot. And I won't say I did, but it was an opportunity.
Well, I think you take that, and then I see you using that mentality and using that optimism with the juniors that you're working with and the people that come into your facility. And, you and I have had several conversations about junior golf, and we're going to kind of change gears a little bit here because that's so much of what you work with. And there's conversations that I think kind of slip through the cracks, not just about juniors, but about golfers in general. But, I think it was on a couple episodes ago, I asked Jordan Jeske about an interview that Rory McIlroy had done. And he talked about how, maybe times are changing and golfers aren't going to be playing for 30, 40 years. They're not going to have as long of a career. And I kind of posed that to our Facebook group. And I think you had responded with something about the toll of what junior golf does to a lot of these players. And now we're at an age where, the Rory McIlroys or the Justin Thomases and Jordan Spieth, these guys are coming up and they've been playing a lot of golf at very competitive levels as youngsters. Just had a kid come in today that's going to be going to Illinois to play. And the grueling tournaments and travel that these guys go through. And something that you mentioned to me that I hadn't even really thought about too much was how much that toll and how crazy, how many events these kids are playing and how that is kind of really impacting what's happening now as these guys get into the higher ranks.
Oh my God, man. It's insane. So I'm in North Carolina. So then North Carolina basically has one governing golf association called the Carolinas Golf Association. So it includes both North and South Carolina. In just those two states alone, there are over 400 junior golf events for 2017. And that was as of January. So at this point, there's going to be more than that. So, junior golfers could play a competitive round multiple times every day of the year if they wanted to. And our junior program we've got over 60 kids, here year round. And I can't tell you the number of just ridiculous stories of these kids driving to Florida, which is from North Carolina, about a 10-hour drive. They'll drive down they'll skip school Friday morning or Thursday. They'll drive down Thursday night, play practice round Friday, play Saturday, play Sunday, drive home Sunday night. They show up at 9 a.m. on Monday for a training session and expect to get something out of it. And having to have those conversations with the parents and like, no, go home, go to sleep. Like, you're not going to get anything out of this. But then they're home. They're home for school, and they get out and they go do it again. Whether it's hopping on a plane, whether it's, these kids, we're having to hold them back to no more than 20 events in a year. Hold them back, like put a rope around their neck. Like, no, you can, don't do that. You do not need to be doing that. But there's been such a frenzy created around getting the, stars for the AJGA, and you got to play in the big events to get noticed and the rankings. And, they got the polo rankings, you got the state rankings, you got, whatever event you're playing in AJGA rankings. And the parents are so in tune with, we need to be ranked in order to be recruited. And there's this big aura around, we're going to pay for college. We're, in boys golf, was there 4.5 scholarships for an entire team? So if you get a full ride, you're freaking unbelievable. Like, you're not getting a full ride in men's golf, generally speaking. Women's golf, you got a couple more scholarships available, but the number of events that these kids are playing, I'm seeing 10, 11-year-olds playing 20 plus events. So, that's 10 years before you get to 20, right. Even. In these, we were talking earlier, and I'm relating this a lot and trying to create awareness a lot locally in terms of this is baseball 10 years ago, guys. This is, the elbows going out at 18, 19, 20 and, losing these great prospects that were $1 million arms. Well, that's what it took in order for them to actually look at pitch counts and, restricting, how much kids could throw in Little League. And I think we're facing a similar thing in golf. I can't tell you how many 9, 10, 11-year-olds I'm treating for back pain, elbow pain, wrist issues. Like seriously? It's
unbelievable.
It's sick.
You're exactly right. I think in relating it to baseball, and I remember talking to a high-level college coach and even a buddy of mine that played high-level college baseball. He said, look at how many kids from the Little League World Series are actually in the major leagues. And it was like a staggeringly low number. Yeah,
probably counted on your hands and toes.
I want to say it was like less than 20. It was unbelievable. And the fact that so much so much stock is put on, these rankings and these kids doing all this stuff at such a young age, and, getting rid of other sports to just focus on golf is just mind-boggling to me. Yeah. That we're just repeating the cycle of what we've seen in other sports. Golf is, 10,
but golf's not
years.
A sport, right?
Oh yeah.
Golf's not a sport.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And working out and fitness is what's actually hurting these guys, right?
Right. God forbid we give them a little help during puberty and growth spurts and figuring out how the heck to move and swing a golf club, right?
Exactly. So, I think just shining some light on that fact that, the juniors have such a grueling schedule, and hopefully we can create some awareness around that. And I know you're doing a lot of that in the local market and beyond. But for all the fitness professionals listening, this is something that we really need to start taking some awareness about and kind of talking to the parents, talking to whoever we have influence on, and letting them know that. So what do you do? You've got these juniors, and we're going to talk about some programming stuff, not just for the juniors, but for higher level golfers and your everyday golfer, or every weekend golfer, we should say. But what do you do to kind of rein them back? You mentioned kind of cutting down tournaments, but as far as preparing them, I guess, for this schedule, what are some of the things that you focus on?
I think the big thing that we do, at our facility is I'm really big in terms of the long-term athletic development, which I know is for fitness and medical people listening, that's nothing new. But in terms of when parents, if parents are listening right now, it doesn't mean going to the gym and just throwing weight on the kid. It's a matter of respecting biologically where they are in development and assessing where they are. And we reassess our entire membership 3 times a year. We have actually next week is called test week. So we reassess everybody's 3D motion, we reassess everybody's movement, we reassess everybody's power markers for our kids that are over that, into that high school age where they've gone through puberty and they're actually going to load actually will matter and make a difference for them. We're actually going to be testing where they are in that sense. So I think when you're talking about juniors, particularly I'd say our youngest age that we really will take will be 10 years old, just from a maturity level standpoint. Beyond that, people call, I say, go play other sports, go climb trees, run around the yard.
Right. I love that.
But once they're 10, then in addition to that, come in once, maybe twice a week, and really what we're working on is building a foundation. And the way I explain it to them is your goal from that around that 10 years old, and obviously this is going to vary based developmentally on where people are, but until you really hit puberty and testosterone and the hormone levels kind of change and fluctuate to where you're actually going to be able to really develop muscle at a much higher rate. Really, our goal is to just prep. So we're basically in preparation phase. We're going to work and make sure that nothing was missed developmentally in terms of crawling or skipping or any of those sort of kind of things that we take for granted. And then we're going to we introduce people into today in our junior class and middle school class they were learning the dumbbell snatch. Just not necessarily for power output, but how is that when how can they reactively stabilize their shoulder? Are they coordinating lumbopelvic or core stability and rib? Are they flaring their ribs? Are they level? We're talking about all that stuff with our kids, not in great detail, but in a stepwise fashion because of the way we've set it up. I know I have a kid for 12 months minimum that we can take stepwise progressions on that. And how do you squat? Let's look at a goblet squat. And if there are issues, we need to work on teaching you how to squat. And then, so I think that's when you're looking at a program as a parent, you want to look at a program that isn't looking to get results tomorrow necessarily. Now, it's not to say these kids don't hit the ball really a lot further in 4 to 6 weeks, God bless the nervous system. But we're looking and we're setting the expectations of our parents, setting it up 4, 5, 6 years down the road. That yes, we'd love for them to play and win medals now, but really the main goal here is that they're healthy, athletic, and can do whatever sport they want to do when they're 14, 15, 16 and looking to specialize. And if that does happen to be golf, well, great. Then we'll talk about more periodization and that sort of a thing. So
yeah, I think that's so important that just the foundation needs to be built and realizing that if you do it the right way when they're that age, the 10 to whatever, 14, 15, whatever that be, if you do it right and you do it slow and you teach them the way that you're teaching them, that will let them accelerate their strength and power and everything so much better and quicker down the line when it really ends up mattering, as opposed to, when they're 10 years old and you're trying to just throw some weight on them just because, well, you need them to lift weight, right?
Yeah.
So let's go a little older in the age range when you get into kind of the college and competitive level golfers, higher level amateur golfers. What are some of the things that these folks, or that you work on with these folks? Because I even noticed, when some of those people come in, or you have golfers that are inquiring and emailing us and asking questions, I'm sometimes amazed. I forget that everybody doesn't have, isn't in the fitness world like we are. That's kind of like anybody in any profession. You kind of forget how much you've learned and how much other people don't know. And so what have you found with some of these college level golfers or higher level amateur golfers? Because I've noticed that a lot of them don't really know much about how their body needs to move or what they need to test or what they need to look at. Where do you start with them?
I start with them have you been in the gym? Do you know, actually this sounds silly, but do you know how to jump? I had a 16-year-old. This is back, way back when we were in the shed. He couldn't jump. I literally said, "Let me see you jump," and he throws his arms down, and maybe Phil Mickelson-esque, at the Masters, maybe a couple inches. He literally could not jump. And so I think really when you get that high schooler who maybe hasn't been through your younger junior program, where obviously you're interspersing fun and games and learning how to do different moves, in ways that isn't necessarily, 6 sets of 5 or, whatever it may be. But, you got to screen them in a sense, just like how we screen movement and how we screen, let me see what your power outputs are. Let me see you swing 3D, in terms of how your sequencing. But, can you do the basic things like skip, jump, all those sorts of things? And if they check all those boxes and they can do that, well, then, okay, great. Now we can actually, and they have some lifting history, they have a foundation. Now we can start talking more higher level programming, I guess you'd want to call it. But, for us, we look at it in North Carolina where, the boys have a season. If we talk high school, the boys play in the spring, the girls play in the fall. So if we look at a girl, let's say, she's going to have an off season from maybe October to February, we'll call it. And so we'll use a lot of that early part of that off season to just build a foundation. So, more in the anatomical adaptation or, low level and kind of hypertrophy based stuff, just to build a base. Where you're just trying to build muscle. And then as we get more specific, we'll get more specific throughout the year as you get towards, for us, heavy tournament season is, May, the big amateur is obviously June, July, and August. But I think there's no science to it. It's an art by far. But I think if you're a parent looking for a junior program or you're a coach training juniors, be really understanding of when their seasons are. College kids have 3 seasons, right? They got their spring, they have their fall season, they have their spring season, and then they have their amateur season. So, I have a couple of our high level guys. I mean, we basically have 3 competitive phases, if we're talking high level programming, where they are doing more, high load, low volume, very specific to sport. But then we really, I think it's what often gets missed is, that kind of recovery compensation phase, which one of my high level guys calls it the karate chop phase. He hates it. He's like, this is so boring. Why can't I do that?
Mr. Miyagi phase.
Yeah, exactly. So,
right.
But and I think that's so important. The mobility, the neurodevelopmental, are you moving well and fixing all those holes? That if that's not taken care of in those lulls, I think you're setting yourself up for trouble when we get to the more competitive, heavy travel. Nutrition becomes tougher, all that sort of stuff. So, I think that's the big difference from the younger kids to the high school is at the earlier side of that, and is going to have a bit of a bridge from what the younger kids were doing to what your high level, advanced athlete who's got some significant gym experience is going to be doing. But
sure.
Yeah. So yeah.
What I'd like to jump into next then, is kind of a natural progression, is what I like to call the bogey proof golfer.
Yeah.
The guys that I don't like to call them the weekend warrior golfers or the average golfers, because anybody that's listening to this show, any golf podcasts, and they're at a different level than the average Joe golfer. But
I got my head bit off by a member for calling her a weekend warrior golfer, man.
Yeah, right. I mean,
she came after me with her 7-iron. I ran.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, somebody that's coming to you or coming to me or to any of the fitness professionals here specifically for their golf fitness, which again, hate that term, but I mean, they're above average. They're not your weekend warrior. They have more intent, but yeah, they probably still may have a 9-to-5 job. They might have kids or guys like you and I. We're working. We've got kids. We try to squeeze in as much as we can. Yep. So, what do you do with somebody like that? And this may be somebody that can't necessarily devote the time to go to a you or another fitness professional. Where do you start with them, or what would you educate them on? Let's boil it down as simply as possible. What are the big things they should focus on, and how do they determine how to break up the fitness side versus like the practicing golf side?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think the way I explain it to people, because we'll get, particularly the men will come in and they want to lift weights, right? They want to do the fun stuff that they see online, that the sexy Olympic lifts and all that sort of stuff. And you say, I gotta get more distance, I gotta get more power. And really what I tell them is, okay, we can get you really, really strong, but if you can't rotate to complete, get to from point A to point B, how useful is that power? What if we, and from what I've seen, just in the hundreds, if not thousands, of golfers at this point that we've worked with and looked at their, we take data on every single person we see multiple times a year, and And the biggest increases, particularly in the beginning, the biggest bang for your buck is, can you rotate in your hips? Can you rotate in your thoracic spine, your upper spine? Can you rotate in your shoulders? And can you rotate your neck? If you fail any of those four, forget the strength for now. Like that can be a secondary thing if you got time. But if you really only have time, 15 minutes a day, you can make a huge improvement in your distance, how you feel. I mean, so many things. Just improve the rotation in those four areas. And that's, the big thing that we promote at, on our website and to our prospective leads. We give everybody a free home assessment. Hey, check these four things. If you fail any of them, give me a call. Happy to chat with you and give you some ideas in terms of how to fix that. And we have, we'll send them kind of the stock fixes that they can do.
Is that just on your homepage?
Yeah, that's on our. We have a golfers resource page where we have tons of free, 30-day programs, and also we got home assessment and overspeed training protocol. We got kind of all that just free stuff to give people that, for that person who maybe doesn't have a lot of time but wants good information.
Perfect.
That's kind of my goal is to give that to them. So
yeah, we'll make sure that gets linked up in the show notes for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, the more people we can help, better. But I'd say if you can't move in those four areas and all you have is 10 to 15 minutes, fix that. If you pass those tests, great. Now let's, you've earned the right to talk about strength, in my opinion. Then let's, everybody, a lot of smarter people have been on here than me, squat, hinge, push, press, or push, pull, right? And then for me, then you can go to, are you doing double leg? Are you doing single leg? Then maybe, are you going multiple planes of motion, not just forward and back? Are you doing some sideways work? But all that is meaningless to me unless you check that first box of can you move, particularly if we're talking golf specific exercise or performance or, whatever the word you want to put on it. Get mobile. I know it's not fun for everybody, but the results really are very fast, particularly if you find the right area. How you can do a lot of self releases, particularly up in the front of the hip for medical professionals. You want to sell some packages and tell people how good you are, release the TFL guys. That gives them 10 to 15 degrees more internal rotation like that.
Right.
But if you're an at-home golfer and you don't have the time to go to somebody, you can do that yourself on a softball, lacrosse ball. It's just a matter of getting that information to them. And then once you do that, I guarantee you as a golfer, you're going to be excited. Holy crap, I can turn now. Wow. Hey, look how much further the ball's going. Okay. I kind of want to take this to the next level. And then go find the great professional near you who's got a facility like yours, or just somebody who can then give you the next step of how to go through that strength training and screen you to make sure you can get to those positions. And but if you can't rotate, you're dead in the golf swing.
Yeah, sometimes we're so amped up about getting to the next level, and we want to progress so quickly that we skip over the simple things and the most obvious things. What and I think seemingly should be the most obvious.
Yeah, and social media is I'm guilty of this too, right? It's way cooler to see a guy sitting on a 12-inch box jumping up on a 5-foot box than to see someone rolling out their hip. I'm not getting views on my Instagram by people rolling their hips, right?
Right.
So, we're as guilty of it as fitness professionals and, on social media and everything. But I think we really need to balance that with, now that people are paying attention, all right, guys, this is what you really need to be focusing on. And once you can do that, then let's talk about the next stuff. That's
such a great point, because it's true. When we post something or you see something that catches your eye, that's usually not the simple thing. It's not the. Yeah.
How many single leg bridges have you posted on your page?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe one. But that's the idea, and I think that's why it's so important to talk to people like you and some of the other professionals that we've had on to make sure that we do. You guys listening, focus on the simple things. Look at where your restrictions are, and look at those different joints, and can you rotate? If not, maybe you have to back up a little bit. Maybe you have to go to the karate phase, and you do. You just kind of have to, take your medicine and realize that okay, I gotta just chip it out into the fairway on this one, and then put myself in a better position to move forward. So once people kind of do that, I know that you guys have some online resources where people can work with you from kind of everywhere. Via online training tools and things like that. Give us a little idea of how you do that.
Yeah, I would say I'd love do that, definitely. I think just to finish up the last segment, I think everybody listening, like you, myself, we run businesses. People who are listening to this are very empowered and high level achieving people. Think ROI, guys. So I think return on investment, your mobility is going to be your biggest return on your investment. And I think if we can get that across, if nothing else, we've done our job.
Yeah.
I think, talking about, what I've been real excited about this year is, we've done very, very well in our brick and mortar kind of at our facility. We've grown that. And one of my biggest frustrations has been, how can we share this with other people out there? How can we get people the right information? How can we help that person? Particularly in North Carolina, I don't know if you've ever been, but you'll be in a city, you drive 10 minutes and you're in, east wherever, where nothing but fields.
Yeah.
So, the people who don't have a golf fitness professional near them, and particularly it's become even more apparent to me in talking with a lot of the golf professionals and how to, grow their businesses and challenges and struggles that they have. It's tough for not a lot of people have real kind of visible facilities. So it's tough to find people sometimes. So, the goal is, that person who either A, doesn't have somebody near them, B, doesn't have the time. That was part of the catalyst for this, is a lot of our members travel for 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time overseas. How can we continue to give them the same quality programming that they're getting when they're with us? And then, obviously the person who's not looking to spend, $2,000 over the course of a year for, individualized programming and whatnot. So, that's where we've partnered with kind of a third party company who has a fitness app that they work a lot with collegiate and professional teams. And we've really kind of calibrated it to the golf fitness world, with our programming, and we use it with all of our current members. We use it big time with our touring professionals when they're on tour. It's a great way for us to kind of keep track of them and deliver their programs to them. And, for the golfer that's listening right now, it basically, what it allows us to do is communicate. Jeff and I are looking at each other, as we're talking right now. It allows me to do that with you, or one of our coaches to do that with the golfer, and let me see how your neck rotates. Let me see how your shoulder rotates. let me see you try to squat. Let me see you, we're joking about the single leg bridge, but what does that look like when you do it?
Right.
What does it look like when you do a plank? Those little nuances that are just invaluable to kind of assess the quality of movement that you're doing, not just can you do 10 squats. And then the program really allows us to customize everything to that golfer, video instruction. And then what I'm most excited about is within the app and within our programs, the golfer can actually video themselves doing the exercise and message it privately, right there from the gym to us.
Right.
And we can say, like, dude, that is the worst looking squat I've ever seen. Put the bar down, run away, or we can say, that looks awesome. Let's jump on a call 10 minutes and let's just talk about progressions. So it allows us to give that high level, value, high level service that I'm really passionate about in our facility in North Carolina, to bring that to a lot of other people, and particularly juniors. It's been funny. The juniors have been very, very responsive to it. And it's funny hearing them telling their parents how the tech works and no, Dad, that's not how you do it. This is how you do it. And, but it's been really cool. And one of the important things that I made sure we put in there was actual wellness tracking. So every time you start a workout, how many hours did you sleep last night? How sore are your muscles? Collecting that data that tells me how you're feeling, even if you don't know how you're feeling. And then we can look at those trends over time. That's huge for me with our professional touring players to see, okay, we need to adjust programming, or, what's going on. Like, you've slept 1 hour the last 5 weeks and you missed 5 cuts. So it kind of gives us some insight into the inner workings that you don't necessarily get, even in an in-person facility. That's been huge for us, because I can look and see how long every member has slept that's coming into class that day.
Have you started using that with your in-house clients too, to make sure that they're doing all that stuff too?
That's part of our membership. They track all their programs. We can see their weights. We can see, all their little dirty secrets in terms of how they're feeling and how many hours they're sleeping. And so when somebody comes in and they aren't recovering, and we look back and you've slept a total of 10 hours over the last 5 days, it's like, oh, well, I've had a deadline. Or if it's it tracks asks for stress levels. That's huge for kids and juniors during midterms, finals.
Right.
For the business guy out there who's got projects that are due. And so it's been really helpful for us with our men and women that are traveling on business, as well as with our more competitive players.
That's cool. There's so many different factors that tie into your performance. And, that's why I've loved that we've had so many different people on the show talking about those different things, sleep and nutrition and, fitness and all that stuff. It's so important. One last thing I want to touch on before we get to the final couple questions is just some of the work that you've been doing to help some of the other professionals in this industry, other therapists, medical entrepreneurs. And you've started a Facebook group, and I know you do some other training called Break the Mold. It's the golf fitness and what is it? Medical entrepreneurs group on Facebook. And just give us a
Say that
idea.
5 times fast.
Yeah, no kidding. I have it on my notes here, and I couldn't even read it. So give us a little idea of what that is, because I know there's so many fitness professionals and medical professionals that are listening, and we're always looking for resources on how to improve our businesses, how to grow, how to scale, what are other people doing. And this group has been so unique and cool. It's kind of like the masterminds that you and I have talked about, where people are just coming in to help each other and give feedback and ask questions. And what inspired you to bring that about?
Yeah, so it was I think really the inspiration came from going back to the beginning and having kind of my death experience, I guess if you want to call it that, and really kind of getting to the core of what I want my kids to remember me for, what I want them to live like, and what gets me out of bed every morning. And that's, I want to be better every day. But what I really found, particularly after speaking in New Orleans at the Golf Fitness Summit, was I really love helping other people get the courage up to say, you know what, screw this in network stuff. Like, I'm going to go do my own thing, or answer that simple question of, how can I get somebody to refer to me? How can I get someone to let me in the door? And I think it really came from twofold. Number one, wanting to help as many of the golfers as we could as just a severely underserved market, by helping the professionals actually get the facilities up in their area so that they can help them. And that's one of the biggest frustrations that I've had is there's so many smart, intelligent professionals out there, a lot of them much smarter than I am, but they haven't been able to get to get a shop up to help people. So a lot of them are doing it from their homes or traveling. And if we can really help the business professionals, fitness or medical, whatever, their background is, to actually get a shop up and be successful, that's a triple win. That's a win for me, because that fulfills me and inspires me to go help more people, and that makes me happy. It's a win for the person whose shop is up, because now they got their own shop up, they're making money, they can put food on their table, and it helps all the golfers in their area, because now they have a legitimate source of information and of training and quality and in person. And as proud as I am of our online programs, it's never going to replace having someone be able to put their hands on top of you.
Right.
That's never going to happen. But it's about just being able to put those facilities up. So is really cool for me. And the goal of it is really, like you said, to be a place to share information. I try to put on, free webinars on different topics that come up that are, sharing information on how to grow junior golf, or how to grow, the 4 things that I wish I knew when I started, before I got that guy putting his leg up on the, on the bench when I was in the locker room,
It's weird how you circled back to that.
It is kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah,
can you tell it was a traumatic experience?
Like a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah. But that really is the goal, is that it's a place for people to come and ask, not be afraid to ask questions. And at Par for Success, I make it very clear to all of my team members that I want this to be a place where if I'm doing something that you feel like you could do it better, speak up. Like, I want to know, because I want to be able to pivot on a dime to do it better. And I want this, the Facebook group or anybody that we're working with to really be a place where people can say, hey man, like, I would love for somebody in that group to say, hey man, I saw that you're running your business this way. I was doing that. I did it this, and this was way better. Like I'm as much of a student in that group as everyone else.
Yeah.
And it's been cool this week to see there's been a lot of other people posting, and the conversation's getting more exciting as more people come in. And, I try to do a Facebook Live every Friday. I ask a poll of questions. What do you guys want to talk about? And it's just been cool, if nothing else for me, just to get to meet other people and hear their stories. But I think it's really been cool, the feedback I've gotten from people reaching out and saying, hey, thanks for helping me figure out if to hire that person as a contractor or as a part-time employee, and it truly has become just me sharing my experiences and what we've done to get where we are. But, it's been a lot of fun for me, and it comes from a place of wanting to help other people, reach their ecosystem where they're not going to get written up for referring somebody out.
Yeah, no, it's been a great place, and there are so many good conversations that are happening, and just questions. And I find myself jotting on questions and saying, okay, that's something I got to ask in the group. So We'll definitely link to that. So for all the fitness professionals, I'm not even going to try to say the name of the group again. No, it's Break the Mold, Golf Fitness and Medical Entrepreneurs. We'll link to that in the show notes as well. But a great place for you to go and just kind of, first of all, meet some new people, but ask some of your questions about your business. So we'll definitely link to that. All right, my man, these questions are coming. So,
dude, I've been preparing the last 10. I told you, I texted you, I was like, hang on, I can't go yet. I'm still preparing.
You've been watching both movies side by side, trying to figure out which one it is. Caddyshack,
I didn't go to work today.
Gilmore.
I got to go with Caddyshack.
I had a feeling you'd be a little more on the traditional side.
Well, if in the 18 Strong, the movement group, if you remember, I did take issue with Adam Sandler, Bill Murray. I got to give it to Bill Murray.
Yeah, I agree. I put the wrong actor in when I posed a question in there, and what I say, Adam Sandler or
Chevy Chase.
Chevy Chase. So Bill Murray, I have to throw him in there.
Yes.
All right, if you had the chance to play 18 holes with anyone in the world, past, present, or future, who would it be, why, and where would you play?
I think, I would definitely, how can you not pick Augusta? I think
I'm going to have to take Augusta out of the equation sooner or later because that's...
Well, then I just go the old course. Yeah, then I just go the old course. Yeah. So probably 1-2, I'm sure, in the overall. But I would pick my grandfather is probably the number one person that I want to play with. He was an entrepreneur. He did things the way that he felt was right and ethical, and he lived with integrity. And those are all things that I've kind of found through my journey, going through the whole heart issue. And I really try to do everything I can with integrity and do the best I can that I really like, just helping people get better. And he, to me, was an influence and just a role model that I wish I had known as I was older. But I wish he could see today, where I've gone and kind of following his footsteps. So he would definitely be number one. And then I'd have to put Michael Jordan. He was my childhood hero, big golfer. So definitely him. And then I would also put, I guess my fourth would be my cousin David. I posted in your group. He's unable to walk right now, or he's in a wheelchair. He's got a progressive disease. But if we could bring him back to where he could actually swing a golf club, that kid, man, he just loves that game more than I've seen anyone else in the world. So that would be my big four right there.
I'll post that video in the show notes too of your cousin that when he got to meet Phil and it was such a cool story.
Yeah. For any of you golfers out there who are just like golf stuff, he's had some amazing experiences. Hunter Mahan pushed him down the 18th hole at the Hartford. He got to sit, basically sitting in the wheelchair. His caddy basically pushed him down. He sat on the side of the green as he putted. He's had some pretty amazing experiences, and he's just such a great kid. And for somebody who's had so many things go wrong, he is an inspiration. My story, I hope it inspires some people, but man, that kid inspires. There's a reason why he's the godfather of my son. I'll just say that.
That's so cool. We'll definitely put that in there for sure.
Yeah.
All right. With everything that you have going on with Par for Success, and we kind of understand the mission of you helping the golfers and even you helping the medical entrepreneurs, what's kind of a big goal that you have set for yourself and for Par for Success this upcoming year?
I think the big thing, I think if we said locally in terms of our facility, is just continuing to get better at our systems of our training and seeing our results continuing to improve for our members just in-house. I think if we look bigger picture for Par for Success, really my goal for 2017 is to reach as many golfers as we can utilizing the new technology that we've developed and really help as many people kind of get cut through the noise and get what they really need. As opposed to what looks really cool or what Dustin Johnson was doing last week, or, just to get people the right program. And the best programs a lot of times are not the most exciting. And just getting that across to people that, a 40-inch box jump is really cool, but so is rolling out your TFL so you can increase 15 degrees of internal rotation, and that buys you 5 more miles an hour on your club head speed.
Right.
I think just connecting with as many people in terms of that, and really communicating what's going to give them the most value and the most return on their investment of time and and money, or whatever it may be that they're investing in their game. So
sounds good, man. So where's the best place that people can find you? What social media channels are you kind of most active on? And then give the website as well.
Yes, I think our two most active social media channels are definitely our Instagram. It's just at Par4Success. So PAR, the number 4 success. And then Facebook, it's just Par Success Physical Therapy and Golf Fitness. I think it's golf performance because I don't like the fitness word either. And then really, me personally, our website is just par4success.com. We have a free golfer's resource guide on there that please take as much stuff as you guys want. That's why it's there. And that's probably the best way. My email is just Chris at Par4Success. So if anyone wants to reach out, I do have, you can schedule, I offer all 15-minute free calls. If you're a golfer and you want to learn, hey, what's the best thing I should do? And you're in Minnesota, I will help you find the best person in Minnesota for you. That's really just my mission, is just to listen to you for 10 minutes, just hear what people are saying and then help them find the right answer. So it's not surgery or something like that.
Very cool, man. I love everything you're doing, and I'm so glad we got to connect and have connected many times over the past year. I'm sure it's going to happen much more frequently. But continue doing what you're doing. I love what you're doing with the juniors, the college players, the pros, and just everything that all the different steps that you've taken to help the rest of us, fitness professionals, medical entrepreneurs, and everybody in this space. So keep it up, man. Appreciate you coming on tonight.
Thanks, and Jeff. I really want to thank you, man. I mean, you've created quite a resource for golfers out there and fitness professionals, and I've been listening since day one, and it's been a resource for me to learn. And like I said, I'm as much of a student here as anyone else, and you've had so many other smarter, brighter people on here. Thank you for having them so I could get better.
Well, that's how I feel every week. So I totally understand what you're saying. So thanks again, man. And we'll be talking very soon. We'll link up everything for the show notes, have all the contact information for Par4Success, and we'll touch base very soon.
Awesome, man. Thanks a lot.
All right, bud. I want to thank Chris for joining me on the show and for being so open of sharing his personal story, his medical history, and everything that he's been through in recent months, in the process of building this business, going through his surgery and everything and coming out on top, and all the amazing things that he's doing for the golfers that he works with and the golfers around the world, but also for the work that he's doing for guys like me, the fitness and medical business owners, where Chris is doing so much to help us to kind of make our own businesses very successful. Now, if you want to get your hands on a custom program through Chris and Par4Success, Chris has provided me with a link that I'll put in the show notes page that you can get connected with him or his team in order to develop your personal program. So I have the link on the show notes page. Go to 18strong.com/Chris Finn, or look up episode number 130, and you'll see prominently down in the show notes the link to go and check out the information to have these guys design you a custom program. So exactly what they're doing with their juniors, their professionals, they are opening this up to the public, and you've got a direct avenue here through 18 Strong. So if you want to take advantage of that, do so by going to 18strong.com/Chris-Finn, and you can also find it at episode number 130. All right, I want to thank you for joining me on the show. Again, if you don't have a set of Super Speed golf clubs, go to superspeed.com, use the code 18strong. You definitely don't want to miss out on the opportunity to swing a little faster and hit that ball way past your buddies next time you go down on the 18th fairway. And if you're not a part of our Facebook group, the 18 Strong Movement, by all means, check that out on Facebook. Ask to join in the conversation with us. We'd love to meet you and hear your questions and let us know how we can make this show better, what guests you want on the show, what questions you want answered. All right, thanks for joining me on the 18 Strong podcast. We will catch up with you next week with another incredible guest. Train hard, practice smart, play better golf.
Thanks for listening to the 18 Strong podcast at www.18strong.com. And remember, train hard, practice smart, and play better golf.